Hi guys, hope wherever you are and whatever you've been doing, you've had a sensational day. Tonight we are speaking on a very interesting topic of hormone imbalances and how they can actually affect a woman's infertility. Infertility with an unknown cause is usually because not enough investigations have actually been carried out. When couples begin experiencing difficulties in trying to conceive for a baby, they often turn to medical assistance to help with conceiving. And your doctor may suggest treatments, for example, like IUI and IVF, and we'll speak about the difference about those two. And these types of methods usually started with only simple investigations to determine why the couple has been unable to conceive, when in fact the issue may be that the woman's hormones are out of balance. Tonight we are speaking with, hey Kyra, how you doing?
Hi Rachel, I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. I'm just going to get this camera set up. All right,
Yep.
cool. Good. Yeah, I was just saying, when couples begin experiencing difficulties conceiving a baby, they often turn to medical assistance to help, being either IUI or IVF. But often these methods usually started with only simple investigations to determine why the couple's been unable to conceive, which in actual fact, the issue may be a woman's hormone, that the hormones are out of balance. Would that be right?
Yes. Yes, that is exactly right. Yes.
Anybody watching, this is Kyra. Now, how to pronounce your last name? Howearth. Howearth?
Yes, Howearth. Yes.
And we love it. It's Kyra is one of our partners here at Kittypedia, and she provides articles each month. Kyra is a herbalist with a special interest in women's health, and she's going to be chatting to us tonight on this topic, which is super exciting. And first of all, how's your day been? You've had a good day? Can you hear me?
Sorry, it's cutting out a bit, but it should be all right now, hopefully. I think
All right,
it's just
cool.
my...
Oh, that's okay.
Yeah, it should be all right.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. I can now. Yes.
Awesome. So I was just saying that early this month we published your article, Are Your
Yeah.
Hormones Ruining Your Chances of Conceiving? So for somebody that may have not read this article yet, could you maybe give us a little bit of an overview on what the article's about?
Yeah. So off the top of my head, and I've written quite a few articles, so hopefully I'm talking about the right article. But the article goes through, like, why, how some women, they go into IVF and IUI, and these cycles fail. And it's because there hasn't been investigations back to the basics of why the woman hasn't been able to conceive, which is often hormone imbalances. So I think that was just the core message coming from that article, is that, the hormones need to come back into balance for these medical assistance ways of conceiving to work. Yeah.
So that's interesting what you're saying about the hormones coming back into balance. So obviously the body is meant to operate at optimum like levels, let's say, and like anything, like when we say the word disease, it's only dis-ease of the body. So there's actually, it's stopping the body from operating at that standard level. And it's the same with hormone imbalances. Would that be right?
Yes, that is, yeah, definitely a great way to look at it. Yes.
All right, cool. We've got three questions to ask you tonight. Should we get cracking, get straight into them?
Yep, sounds good.
The first question we have is, how often do you see women presenting with hormone imbalances when they are trying to conceive, and how common is this problem?
Yeah, it is actually really common. So in my clinic, I see a lot of women trying to conceive, and I think nearly everyone who I've seen has some form of hormone imbalance. Um,
What?
it may not, yeah. So I think it may not be something that's really obvious. Their periods might not be irregular, or anything really outstanding like that. But they may have high stress levels, and this is one thing that can cause our hormones to go out of balance, which can be hindering our chances of conceiving.
Wow. So what would be a typical sign that a woman's hormones are out of balance? Like what would they be?
Yeah, well, the typical signs, I guess, are your periods. Like if your periods are irregular, or really painful, heavy, or you have no periods, that's like a really classic sign that the hormones are out. But there's heaps of other signs as well, such as acne or really bad PMS, bloating, mood swings. Yeah, there's like a whole wide range of symptoms that can tell me if the woman's got her taking on tongue tied if her hormones are out of balance. Yeah.
So what about if, for example, that you generally have very heavy and painful periods anyway, that's quite normal, like considered normal? Is that, or is that because of the hormone imbalance, like in the sense of saying, well, is that just a change in the body, or what happens if your body's always been like that then?
Yeah, if your body's always been like that, and I suspect that there's always been like a level of hormone imbalance. So like, yeah, like I've even had clients today and they said like, they went on the pill during their teen years, but before that, their periods were really heavy and really painful. And their periods were fine on the pill because the pill's just masking these symptoms. And then when they went off the pill, their periods are back to being really heavy and really painful. And to me, that is, yeah, a really big sign that there's something not right there with their hormones.
Another thing you mentioned also in the article is about experiencing acne as well. Is that something that is typical?
Yes, yes. So acne is a typical representation of high testosterone levels.
And the other thing
Yeah.
you mentioned in the article also is about lots of stress in the workplace. And I'd love to know about this topic as we were chatting offline before. So I have a question.
Yeah.
So some women may be that busy that they don't actually realise that their bodies are under a lot of stress because that's just their usual and standard day-to-day life, if that makes sense. So in that instance, I mean, how would you describe what that woman would be feeling physically if she was typically in that category? If her body and her hormones were out of balance because she's living a busy, stressful lifestyle, but she didn't even realise that she's actually in that situation.
Yeah, I would think that this woman's feeling like she's running on adrenaline. Like, she's fine during the day. She has heaps of energy during the day because she's at work. She's got to do a job. But then when she gets home, she just, she just feels exhausted. Like when you're under a lot of stress and your cortisol levels are raised like that, you may also be experiencing some anxiety and having trouble sleeping as well. So, there's a lot of other symptoms, like with feeling stressed, and it may not be immediate to the woman that she's actually feeling stressed, like because she's just trying to cope. But yeah, these are all signs that she's under a lot of stress.
So it sounds like
I hope that answered the question.
Yeah, no, that's understandable. So I mean, so how much would stress then affect a woman from conceiving then?
Yeah. Stress, when our bodies are stressed, we're making like the stress hormone called cortisol. And when our bodies are busy making cortisol, our bodies turn their attention away from making other hormones. So this drives hormone imbalances. So as I said before, hormone imbalances can really affect our chances of conceiving because, we need the right hormones, to ovulate. And if you don't ovulate, then you can't conceive. I find that stress is a really big driver in a lot of my fertility cases.
Yeah. And I know this next question is a little bit like how long's a piece of string, but for a woman that has been under a lot of stress and she's going, okay, great, I want to be able to then have no stress because I want to conceive. How long would it take her body to, as we were saying earlier on, to readjust to that healthy state, to be in balance as opposed to being imbalanced?
Yeah, I don't like to put a time limit on this sort of thing because it's a very personal question. There's lots of factors. Ideally, we'd like to see some improvement within a few months, but, it could take, a number of months, like 6 months or longer for everything to really yeah, become, you know, regulated, and it would depend on the severity of the case, of course. So, yeah, but ideally, you know, within the first few months, you'd like to see some improvement, definitely.
Alrighty then. Well, should we go on to the next question then? The
Yes.
next question is, what causes hormone imbalances apart from the pill?
Okay, yep. So, so the pill and also other forms of hormonal contraceptives like the injection, the Mirena, the implant, these, yeah, all cause hormonal imbalances. There's other things like I've mentioned, stress is a big one. Also like plastics, like when we're eating food out of plastic containers, this can, you know, disrupt our hormones as well. What else? So many things can disrupt our hormones.
Really?
Like, yeah, like,
What about the plastic container? Like what sort of plastic should we be wary of? Like, yeah.
yeah, I would just avoid all plastics, like even BPA free plastic. Like, you know, it might be, you know, looking more healthier, but the reality is instead of putting in BPA, which, you know, is a known hormone disruptor, they're probably putting in things which are a lot worse, which we just haven't, you know, really discovered the effects of yet. So I would opt for glass containers instead. Yeah, I'll just avoid plastic as much as possible.
So when you're saying that, you mean in the heating the plastic? So say, for example, someone's going to go to work and they've got um, any form of even Tupperware, you'd say as well, would you? Would that be the same?
Yeah,
Plastic.
yeah,
So
and
not heat it. So even
yeah,
so,
yep, I would definitely avoid heating it. But I would even try to avoid putting just, you know, room temperature or cold food in it and then heating it in another container. Like I still feel, you know, some of the endocrine disrupting chemicals can leach from that plastic. So yeah, it's just best to avoid it completely, in my opinion.
it impacts the food then, that actually then either goes and infiltrates the food and or for whatever reason to have to carry your food in plastic and or like a normal sort of porcelain type of a bowl, to, you know, would you say?
So could you repeat the question? It cut out a
Yeah,
little bit
yeah,
for me.
yeah. It's okay. So when we're going to work, so should we put our lunch into either a glass container or like a porcelain, like a normal sort of like bowl? Then that's what we should be
Yeah,
eating.
yeah, yeah, definitely. Yeah, like you can buy these, you know, great glass containers. They have a plastic lid, but as long as the plastic isn't touching the food, then that's okay. And you can buy them from places like Kmart relatively cheaply. So it's quite accessible now to avoid plastic. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Our next question. Shall we go into that then? How do you
Yep. So
hormone imbalances so women can successfully conceive a baby? So how do you treat hormone imbalances?
yeah, so I'm a herbalist, so of course, like my main line of attack, I guess, is herbs. There's a number of herbs that I use for different reasons, different hormone imbalances, and often, you know, clients have different things going on. So, yeah, there's a lot of herbs that I use. But I also look at diet and lifestyle. There's often a lot of things here that we can change up to improve a woman's chances of conceiving, especially if she's experiencing hormonal imbalances. There's, yeah, a lot that we can do.
Yeah. And we were speaking offline just before. So we now understand a little bit more what a herbalist sort of does. But what would be the difference between what you do and, let's say, opposed to maybe like a naturopath, as an example? Is
Yeah,
there a difference?
yeah, well, kind of. I like to think I'm a lot like a naturopath, except that I don't have training in nutrition, and naturopaths also do like some electives, so they may do homeopathy and also flower essences. So I don't have training in those, but a naturopath does have the training that I do. So yeah, I'm like a mini naturopath, if you want to call it that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the difference between you and then the other one is homeopathy as well. So the same sort of thing, would you say?
I would say so. Homeopathy, I'm not sure exactly what their training involves, but it's, yeah, again, it's slightly different. I don't think they deal so much with herbs, but more so with homeopathic remedies.
Yeah.
But yeah, like it's still, you know, the natural, yeah, holistic, you know, type of perspective of health. Yes.
Yeah. And we're talking offline earlier on, but natural medicines generally, for all of their incredible benefits. And as I was saying earlier and offline, I'm a really big advocate for natural medicines. But a lot of people mention that they actually take a little bit longer for it to go through your system, through your body, to be able to see the results and feel the results, as opposed to Western medicine. Do you have any feedback onto that at all, as to how and why that maybe is the case? And it's fine if you don't, but it's a general question.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I find that Western medicine, it's usually just like a band-aid fix. And, you know, it's just masking the symptoms. So this is why it often works effectively and quickly. Whereas, like herbs and other forms of natural medicine, most of the time, you know, we're working to treat the cause. And so it takes a bit longer because we are really, you know, getting in there deep and fixing it at the cause of the symptoms, rather than just saying, you know, here, take this pill and your symptoms will be gone. It's, yeah, not as simple as that. Yeah.
So what you were saying earlier on is that the body needs to be in balance, and it's when it's out of balance that we fall ill, and obviously in varying different degrees. So what
Yeah.
you actually have to bring the body back into balance, and that Western
Yes.
medicine generally is a band-aid over those, because it's not actually fixing the core of the problem. And actually Western medicines are not bringing our bodies back into balance, for it to be
Yes.
at optimum health. What it's actually doing, as you said, is just a band-aid effect. So that's
Yeah.
why it takes longer, depending how long our body and how much our body is out of balance, for it to get back into balance. Would that be the right way to look at it?
Yes, definitely. Yes. Yes.
Cool. And that's I mean, that's a really interesting point, I think, for a lot of people to understand. And we were saying before also, it's a different analogy, but you know, like fast food. If I was to go out and go through drive through, you know, because I'm busy and I'm tired and all that stuff, that's quick and that's an easy fix. But if you want to go home and cook a nutritious meal, and you've got to cut your vegetables and you've got to cut everything else and then cook it over a stove or in an oven, that takes a lot longer, but that's healthier. So generally what's right for us does take just longer in general, would you say?
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah,
not exactly, it's
definitely.
very different to get back into balance, but you know, the difference between the quick and easy and what's right for our body does naturally take a little bit longer. There was other thing. Now, so the last question was, and I think we've answered it, just double checking, how can you treat hormone imbalances so women can successfully conceive a baby? So all in all, you said that you use different herbs and all that sort of stuff, which is really an interesting way. And for somebody who maybe like a couple that have been trying for a while to conceive and haven't been successful, and this is a new concept for them, and they're maybe a little bit hesitant because they haven't heard of it before, could you maybe tell us why a couple should consider seeing a herbalist, as opposed to, as we were saying before, considering IVF or IUI?
Yeah. I think, you know, if you jump straight into IVF or IUI, as I said before, like, you know, it often fails. And some women, you know, they go through a crazy number of cycles, and it's not cheap either. So, you know, I'm really a big advocate for, you know, trying to find out why it's not working, and to fix that before you go out there and spend more money on IVF or IUI, so that you can have a successful round if you choose to go down that path. Or, you know, maybe, you know, you're lucky enough that you won't have to go down that path after you have a holistic natural treatment, and you'll be able to conceive naturally. So yeah, I think, you know, if you're willing to go out and spend all that money on IVF or IUI to try to conceive a baby, like, you know, coming to see a herbalist or another natural health practitioner is going to be much cheaper. So you know, it's worth a shot. Like, if you yeah.
Much better for your body too. So it's just
Yes.
things that, like you were saying before, it's about getting your body back into balance, as opposed to being out of balance. And
Yeah.
you know, realistically, if you're trying to conceive or not trying to conceive, it's something that is beneficial for everybody to be living a happy, healthy life with their body in balance. So if anyone else has got any questions for you outside of this interview right now, how else can they find you, Kyra?
So I'm on Facebook as Kyra Howearth, herbalist. You can also visit my website, which is just kyrahowearth.com.au. You can see the spelling of my name in the video because I know it's a bit of a weird one.
No,
Yeah.
for a herbalist to have a name is like Howearth. I mean that's incredible. That's a really awesome name to have for a herbalist.
Yes.
So
Very appropriate.
and they can also find you through the Kittypedia website also, because we've got all your advertising banners and that sort of stuff. So either
Yes.
way, they can get you through that or through social media. So for anyone that's looking for I guess a healthy lifestyle and to be able to live to your optimum levels and to get your body in balance, by all means, consider herbalism and give Kyra either an email or a phone call and try it out. How about that? Thanks so much for your
Yep.
time.
Sounds perfect.
It's been awesome speaking with
Yep.
you.
Thank you.
Take care. Speak soon.
Thank you so much, Rach. It's been great chatting with you.
Okay,
Bye.
bye.